Usually when we think about engines, there's this expectation of total mechanical precision.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you look at a car engine, you see the pistons, the spark plugs, the fuel line. It's highly visible. You pour gas in, combustion happens, and, well, the wheels turn.
Right? It is a very clean, straightforward, one-directional process.
Exactly. We like our systems to be visible, categorized, and bound by the standard predictable laws of physical thermodynamics. I mean, it makes the world feel manageable for us.
It really does. But then you step into the framework we are unpacking today, and suddenly that physical mechanical engine is, flipped completely inside out.
It really is. Today's deep dive is exploring a collision between cutting-edge astrophysics, quantum neuroscience, and ancient Indian philosophy. And we are looking at a theoretical architecture of the human body and the cosmos that is, honestly, mind-bending.
It's massive. We are pulling from a highly detailed text titled The Multidimensional Macro-Micro Quantum Coherence Matrix. And this was co-authored by Swami Vivekananda and Gemini AI.
Right. And the core mission of their work is to map out this intricate theory, proposing that our physical bodies are essentially micro-engines that mirror the macro universe.
Yeah, and they claim this operates across 11 different dimensions simultaneously.
Which is wild. I know if you're listening to this right now, hearing phrases like 11 dimensions and quantum bioenergy might instantly set off your internal sci-fi alarms, or maybe your new age jargon alarms.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
But our goal here isn't to prove this theory or endorse it or even debunk it, right? The objective is just to objectively explore the incredibly intricate structural logic these authors have built.
Exactly, because the way they map abstract cosmic concepts directly to actual fluid dynamics in the human spine is just fascinating to pull apart.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this. Where does a theory like this actually begin? I mean, they start by looking out into space, right?
They do, yeah. The starting point for this entire matrix actually revolves around recent real-world anomalies in the James Webb Space Telescope data.
Okay, the JWST.
Right. Modern scientists have been capturing images of phenomena like vast, inexplicable spatial expansions or galaxies forming in ways they just mathematically shouldn't.
Things that don't make sense in 3D.
Exactly. They simply cannot explain them using standard 3D physics. And often the scientific community dismisses these as optical illusions or gravitational lensing anomalies or just mere glitches in the data.
Wait, hold on. The text argues these aren't glitches, right? They think they are glimpses into higher dimensions. But how do you even, see a ninth dimension with a telescope that is fundamentally designed to capture 3D light?
That's a great point. The authors argue that the telescope isn't capturing the dimensions directly. Instead, it's picking up the gravitational and spatial distortions that those higher dimensions leave on our 3D space.
Oh, I see. Like seeing the wind moving the trees, even if you can't see the wind?
Precisely. They suggest that by analyzing these massive distortions, you can systematically separate the dimensional layers. So the fourth, the fifth, all the way up to the ninth dimension. And what's fascinating here is how the source takes this massive macrocosmic structure and connects it directly to the microstructure of the human brain.
Yeah, this is where it gets crazy. They argue that the macro universe and the microhuman body are exact mirror images. So if you want to understand the universe, you look at the brain.
Right.
And if you want to understand the brain, you look at the cosmos.
Yeah.
But they don't operate in the exact same direction, which brings us to what the text calls the topological reversal law.
Yes, this is the foundational rule of their entire framework. So in the macro universe, vibrational energy moves top-down.
Top-down, okay.
Yeah. The primordial cosmic energy starts in the 10th dimension and cascades downward. It becomes denser and denser until it essentially freezes into solid 3D physical matter.
Like planets, stars, the physical environment we walk around in.
Exactly.
So universe equals top-down, 10D down to 3D. But the human biological engine works in reverse. It takes physical 3D matter and pushes it inward and upward to achieve a state they categorize as a negative 10D neural vibration.
That's right. It's a bottom-up process.
I love trying to visualize this. It reminds me of like a giant oak tree. The universe's gravity is pulling everything downward, but the tree's engine works in reverse.
Right, fighting gravity.
Yeah. It draws liquid water from the deepest roots in the dirt, the 3D physical ground, and pulls it upward against gravity all the way to its highest, most subtle leaves.
That's a really good analogy. And taking that a step further, the text labels our physical body as the 3D gate. We inhale oxygen. That is a purely physical 3D kinetic action.
And ancient traditions call this intake of vital air prana, right?
Exactly. But that simple intake of breath is the trigger. It starts a reverse dimensional climb, taking physical energy and refining it into quantum bioenergy.
So if you're listening to this, the text is essentially saying that the simple act of you taking a breath is actually a multidimensional energy transfer.
Yeah, every single breath.
But, that forces a highly mechanical question. If physical breath is the trigger, how does a lung full of plain old physical air turn into a nekastendi quantum vibration? What is the actual mechanism inside the human body that makes that leap?
Well, the engine relies entirely on the heart through a mechanism they term cardiopulmonary dynamics.
Cardiopulmonary dynamics. Okay.
Yeah, so when you breathe in, your lungs process the oxygen and your heart pumps. But this heart rate isn't just about moving blood around. It creates what the text calls cardioballistic waves.
Cardioballistic waves. I mean, it sounds like a weapon. What actually is that physically? Are we talking about, blood pressure?
It's more than that. It encompasses the literal physical thud of blood being ejected from the heart into the aortic arch.
Oh, wow.
That powerful physical ejection creates an acoustic shock wave. It's a kinetic force that echoes up through the chest cavity and into the spine.
That makes sense.
And get this, the heart generates a bioelectromagnetic field that the text states is 5,000 times stronger than the brain's field.
5,000 times. That's insane.
Yeah, it is a massive physical and energetic thumping.
And here is where the concept of synchronization comes in, right?
Yeah.
The text highlights a very specific frequency, 0.1 hertz.
Yes, 0.1 hertz.
So when your breathing rate and your heart rate sync up at this 0.1 hertz frequency, you achieve what they call heart-brain coherence.
Exactly. And once that coherence is locked in, those massive cardioballistic waves can travel straight up the nervous system without any entropy.
Let's define entropy really quickly for anyone who isn't, a physics major. We're talking about energy loss, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The natural tendency of systems to become chaotic or lose power as they move, like heat escaping from a car engine.
Perfect example. But at 0.1 hertz coherence, the biological engine becomes perfectly efficient. There's zero loss.
Wow.
So the physical pumping of the heart creates rhythmic pressure that pushes the cerebrospinal fluid, the CSF, up through the spine and into the ventricles of the brain.
Right.
Now, the text goes far beyond viewing the CSF as just a biological shock absorber for the brain. They actually categorize this fluid as a 9D ocean of light.
Okay, I have to push back here.
Go for it.
How does a clear, physical fluid inside our spine suddenly become a 9D ocean of light?
Yeah.
That sounds like a massive leap.
It does, but they explain it through friction. The physical breath and the heartbeat are driving this fluid, creating continuous friction.
Okay.
As this fluid sloshes and creates friction within the brain's ventricles, the intense bioelectromagnetics begin to shift the energy out of a purely physical state.
It's stepping up the frequency.
Yes. It stimulates what the text poetically calls the brain's neural galaxies, stepping the physical wave up into an electromagnetic oscillation.
So it's actively climbing the dimensional ladder.
Exactly. It passes through the center of the brain, specifically anchoring at the thalamus. The authors classify the thalamus as the 88D anchor.
Which actually makes anatomical sense, because the thalamus is essentially the brain's central relay station.
Right.
It processes nearly all sensory information before sending it out to the cerebral cortex.
It is the ultimate biological distributor. And once the energy pushes past that thalamus anchor, it is distilled into pure quantum bioenergy at the nekatendi level.
And this nakatendi vibration is what they claim delivers unadulterated life energy to the DNA of all 37 trillion cells in your body simultaneously.
Yes, all 37 trillion cells.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second. This is fascinating. But if our body is this incredibly complex reverse engine absorbing and refining energy from the 3D physical world up to a nakatendi quantum level, we have to ask the obvious question. Where is the macro universe getting its energy to feed us in the first place?
That is the big question.
Right. If we are pulling energy from the environment, what is the forward engine driving the cosmos? Because, the math, the standard physics tells us that the visible universe, stars, planets, you and me only makes up about 5% of reality.
Just 5%.
Another 27% is dark matter, and a whopping 68% is dark energy. And modern science is frankly stumped by what dark energy actually is.
Totally stumped. But the authors tackle this exact problem in their 36th master theory.
Okay, lay it on us.
They argue that physicists can't find dark energy because they are looking for it using the restrictive rules of 3D thermodynamics.
Ah, they're using the wrong tools.
Exactly. The text makes its boldest astrophysical claim here by completely redefining the Big Bang. According to this framework, the Big Bang was not a one-time accidental explosion that happened 13.8 billion years ago and then stopped.
They claim it is happening right now, don't they?
Yes.
Right.
It is a continuous ongoing resonance. It's an eternal engine firing in the 10th dimension.
A continuous 10D Big Bang. I mean, that flips everything we are taught in cosmology completely on its head.
It really does.
So how does an explosion happening in a 10th dimension reach us down here on Earth?
Through what they call a dimensional cascade. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it offers a structural explanation for every force in physics. Let's walk down the ladder.
Let's do it.
In the 10th dimension, you have this continuous primordial kinetic impulse, the eternal Big Bang. As that raw vibration pushes down into the 9th dimension, it transforms into pure, radiant photonic energy.
Oh, the tech's macro version of the ocean of light.
Exactly. From there, as it continues to leak downward into the 8th through 4th dimensions, that energy morphs again.
Into what?
It becomes the fundamental forces we can actually measure in a lab. You know, electromagnetism and the strong and weak nuclear forces that hold atoms together.
And finally, when it slows down enough to hit our 3D world, it freezes.
Right. It becomes gravity and physical mass. It becomes the dirt, the stars, the air we breathe.
Which means that the dark energy baffling modern scientists isn't some mysterious invisible substance hiding inside our solar system.
Not at all.
The text argues it is the literal dimensional leakage, the 3D shadow of this continuous 10D Big Bang pouring into our reality every single second.
The exhaust of the cosmic engine.
Man. Here is where the logic of this gets really interesting, and honestly, it demands some pushback.
Sure.
If a literal Big Bang, like an endless cosmic explosion, is going off continuously all around us in the 10th dimension, why is my living room so quiet?
That's a very logical question.
Why aren't we completely deafened by an ongoing cosmic explosion?
Well, the text anticipates that exact problem with a concept called biological shielding.
The biological shield?
Yeah,
Okay.
think about it. The human ear is a highly limited 3D mechanical instrument. It can only detect mechanical sound waves between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz.
Which is a tiny sliver of reality.
It's basically nothing. If the raw, unfiltered vibration of a 10D Big Bang were to hit our 3D physical form as an audible sound wave, the decibel level would be infinite.
Infinite decibels.
Yeah. The text states it would cause immediate acoustic dissolution.
Acoustic dissolution, meaning we would shatter.
Literally. The sheer force of the sound would vibrate the atomic structures and the DNA of every living thing completely apart. We would just dissolve into the cosmos.
Wow, so we are intentionally deaf to it.
Yes. Nature, functioning as a biological shield, heavily attenuates this intense vibration. As the 10D energy passes through the dimensional fabric into our 3D space, it is muffled.
Muffled into what?
Into what the authors describe as a subtle quantum breeze.
A subtle quantum breeze. Okay, so if the ears are purposefully designed not to hear this cosmic roar to save our lives,
Right.
what does?
Right.
What is the actual antenna on the human body meant to pick up a 10D quantum breeze?
The text points to two true organs of perception for this specific energy: the lungs and the skin.
The skin. How does human skin act as an antenna for a 10th dimensional explosion? I feel like my Apple Watch would have notified me if my skin was doing that.
I mean, it sounds strange, but human skin is loaded with millions of mechanoreceptors.
Okay, those are the nerve endings, right?
Yeah, these are the specialized nerve endings that respond to mechanical pressure or distortion. The text argues that the skin acts as a massive piezoelectric field.
Let's break down piezoelectric for the listener real quick. That is the scientific process where physical pressure is converted into an electrical charge, right?
Exactly.
Like when you click a barbecue lighter, a little hammer hit the crystal, creates pressure, and generates an electric spark.
That's a perfect everyday example. And the skin operates on a very similar principle. It is constantly absorbing electromagnetic and subtle quantum vibrations, that cosmic breeze that our ears are completely deaf to.
Right.
And those mechanoreceptors convert that subtle pressure into a bioelectric signal and feed it directly into the nervous system.
And the lungs pull it in from the inside.
Yes, exactly.
They take in that 3D physical oxygen, but attached to that physical air is the subtle vibration of the 10D cascade. The lungs absorb it, turn it into prana, and shoot it up into that reverse engine process we just mapped out earlier.
It's an amazing system.
The idea that our skin and lungs are biological antennas, constantly drinking in the background radiation of a continuous cosmic Big Bang.
Yeah.
It is just a fascinating way to view human anatomy.
It totally redefines our interaction with our environment.
But, you know, this raises a historical question for me. If our skin and lungs are constantly interacting with this 10D reality, how have humans historically navigated this?
What do you mean?
Like, have we just been blindly absorbing it this whole time? Or have ancient cultures figured out how to consciously tap into this matrix?
Well, the 37th theory in the text bridges this exact physics framework with the ancient Indian concept of anahata dhvani.
Anahata dhvani.
Yes. The distinction they make here between different types of sound is absolutely crucial. In ancient texts, there is ahata and anahata.
Let's clearly separate those. What is ahata?
Ahata is struck sound. It is 3D sound. It's what happens when two physical objects collide.
Like clapping.
Right. If I clap my hands, they strike together, friction is created in the air, and you hear a sound. It fundamentally requires physical mass.
Got it. But anahata translates to unstruck sound.
Exactly. It is a sound that exists without any two objects colliding. It is a frictionless, eternal, cosmic resonance.
So the text maps this unstruck sound directly to the 10D continuous Big Bang.
Yes, because it's a vibration happening purely in the dimensional fabric. It requires no physical mass.
Okay, I see where this is going.
And this connects deeply to the ancient concept of Omkara, the sound of Om. Using the Mandukya Upanishad as a guide, the authors map the syllables of Om, A, U, M, and the silence that follows directly to the dimensional layers of our biological engine.
We shouldn't rush past this because the mapping is incredibly precise. Let's break down the AUM.
Okay, let's do it.
The first syllable, A, represents the waking state. So in this text matrix, this is our 3D physical body, the arms, the legs, the mechanical lungs interacting with the physical world.
Right. The starting point of the bottom-up engine.
The 3D gate.
Exactly. Then the second syllable, U, represents the dream state. The text maps this moving inward to the fourth and fifth dimensions.
Which correspond directly to the brain's vast neural networks and synaptic pathways processing that energy, right?
Yes. Then the third syllable, M, represents the state of deep sleep. This correlates to the eighth and ninth dimensions.
Oh, this is that thalamus anchor point in the 9D ocean of cerebrospinal fluid sloshing in the brain's ventricles.
You got it. And finally, there is the fourth state, the profound silence that follows the chanting of Om, the state of Turiya.
Turiya.
Yeah. The text maps this absolute silence to the 11th dimension, the absolute void. It's a state of pure, unmanifested consciousness where all dimensional vibration just ceases.
Okay, here's my biggest question then. This raises an important question, right?
What's that?
If we are locked in a heavy 3D physical body, relying on our skin and lungs to catch tiny breezes of this cosmic energy, how does a human being actually reach that 11D void of silence?
The text argues it is achieved through the physics of deep meditation, using a process they describe as biological quantum tunneling.
Quantum tunneling. How does that actually work mechanically? I mean, I understand closing your eyes and calming down, but how does a beating heart erase physical mass to achieve quantum tunneling?
Okay, picture this. When a meditator sits down and closes their eyes, they are actively shutting off 3D friction. No talking, no physical movement, no struckahata sounds.
They are lowering the entropy.
Exactly. They are lowering the chaotic energy loss of their 3D body. As they do this, they focus entirely on their breath. They bring their respiration and their heart rate into that perfect 0.1 hertz heart-brain coherence.
They are essentially turning their entire nervous system into a biological tuning fork.
That is a great way to put it. By perfectly tuning their biological antennas, their internal nervous system begins to resonate at the exact frequency of the 10D Anahata, that continuous Big Bang.
Wow.
And when that resonance peaks, the relative physics of their biology shifts. Because they have synchronized so perfectly with a frictionless dimension, the physical drag drops.
Meaning what exactly?
The text states that in this state of profound coherence, the physical variables of mass and time effectively become zero for the observer's consciousness.
Mass equals zero, time equals zero.
Yes. M equals 0, T equals 0.
So because mass and time are suddenly zero, the meditator's consciousness vector is no longer bound by 3D physical space.
Exactly. It doesn't have to travel a literal physical distance to reach the cosmos.
Instead, it can quantum tunnel straight through the 10D vibration, completely bypassing physical space, and arrive instantly into that 11D void of pure silence.
Yes. They're using the biological reverse engine to hack the macro universe's dimensional cascade.
They're proposing a literal biological reverse engineering of the cosmos. That is unbelievable.
It's an incredibly bold claim.
What an incredibly complex architectural framework we've covered today. I mean, we started with the proposition that our bodies aren't just biological machines, but reverse engines, taking physical 3D breath and pumping it upward to a -10D quantum level through cardioballistic waves.
Right. And then we explored the idea that the dark energy baffling scientists is actually the 3D leakage of a continuous 10D Big Bang happening right now.
Yeah. We examined how biological shielding prevents us from being acoustically dissolved by that cosmic explosion, leaving our skin's mechanoreceptors and our lungs to catch the subtle quantum breeze.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. And finally, we unpacked how ancient practices like Omkara meditation might be a highly advanced form of dimensional tuning, allowing human consciousness to drop its mass and time variables to zero and quantum tunnel straight into the 11th dimension.
Yeah. Regardless of where you stand on the physics, you have to admit, it is a beautifully symmetrical way to view our place in the universe.
Absolutely. For you listening to this, I think the real takeaway is that the next time you take a deep, quiet breath or just feel a gentle breeze against your skin, you can pause and wonder.
Wonder what?
Am I just breathing air, or is my biological engine interacting with the primordial vibration of a continuous cosmic engine?
It certainly reframes the mundane physical experience, doesn't it?
It really does.
I will leave you with one final thought to ponder that builds on everything we've unpacked today.
Please do.
If mastering this 0.1 hertz coherence allows human consciousness to achieve a state where mass and time truly equal zero, effectively bypassing the standard rules of physical biology, what does this imply for our standard definition of human mortality?
Oh.
If our consciousness can quantum tunnel to an 11D void while we are still breathing, perhaps the end of the 3D biological body is merely a permanent shift in dimensional frequency rather than an ending at all.
We'll leave you with that to chew on. Until next time.